Common sense economics!
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anna Lamont, and I'm from Ashby, Local 2534. I've been a state employee for close to 30 years. I'm treasurer of my local, and we all went to Philadelphia to take this training because we wanted to know how these economics affect us and what we can do about the current situation to change our life. I want to take the time and do a little experiment. I'm going to ask these questions, and all these questions that I'm going to ask you, all I would like for you to do is raise your hands to each one for response to each one of these questions that I asked you. So we can see how this affects all of our lives. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to read a statement, and everybody raise, if it affects your life, or you know anybody that it may affect your life, just raise, brother, sister, uncle, aunts, moms, or dad, just raise your hand. The first statement I'm going to read to you is, you or someone you care about, a family member or a friend, have been unemployed in the last 5 years. Now everybody look around. That person had to take a job at a lower wage than the job that he or she lost. You or someone you care about works more than one job. Okay. You or someone you care about have trouble paying their mortgage, rent, car payment in the last 5 years. You know a young person with a huge student loan. Okay, you know a young person who can't find a good job. You know a young person who had to move back home. Good person. Okay, you worry about your parents won't have enough money for retirement or pay their medical bills or to get medicine. Okay. You or somebody you know, don't have enough money for food. Now, as you can see, as we look around these rooms, we see that mostly everybody has been affected by today's economy. This is what's happening to our economy. This does not make any sense. We all take part in this. We all live here. We all take part in the United States, whatever, and we can't make it. It's a very sad situation.
Did you say you want me to do the ask?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to explain 2 opportunities, and she's going to hand out a couple of papers. The first one, on the second page, lists the temporary clerical poll. And this is an opportunity that you can go down to Strawberry Square, and they have...
What's Strawberry Square if you're not from here?
If you're not from here, it's right downtown shopping center. The civil service office is there. And I know that you guys have a computer lab. I know Wendy very well. If you ask Wendy, I know that she would help you. And they may provide transportation if you can't walk down there. But they have temporary clerical. And if you wait till December, you can take the clerk test. I think it is in 2 weeks. You can take the clerk typist test, and you can actually, I know that you can practice here in the computer lab. I don't know what their hours are available these days, but they used to have a program that you could practice your typing skills. And you only need to type 40 words per minute. And I'm going to tell you, when I went down and took the test, I was like, and I was really slow. The lady beside me was like, Well, I didn't have very many errors. I hit it over 40. She had like 80 or 90, I don't know what she had. She had a lot of errors, so she didn't pass the test. And you can make $10.15 an hour. You don't get benefits. But the really cool thing is that if you work at the pool, it gives you an opportunity. And even if you have a record, you can go down because some places will take you, some places will not. So I recommend to go down, at least take it, and try it out to see how you fare. And the cool thing is that you'll go from department to department to department. And when you go to one department, you may work there a couple of weeks, you may work there a month, and you'll say, boy,
And one of the actions that's so important right now is voting. And Steph is going to talk to us about some things about voting. That is good to know. Yes.
So, one of the reasons that voting is so important is because it protects the democracy that we live in, and also it's one of the ways that we as individuals have a say in choosing our leaders. So, is there anyone in the room who is registered to vote? Raise your hands. I get to raise my hand now. I say that because I'm a recent registered to vote. I've never actually voted before, but I've registered. I've actually been learning about this process, and it's very intriguing to me. But I spent a lot of time researching some stuff, and I just wanted to share some of it with you quickly. So these are some true or false questions about the voting race. Now this applies to the state of Pennsylvania, that's where we live. Well, I think everyone lives here. So true or false, you cannot vote if you have a prior felony conviction.
False, that's false.
Okay, in the state of Pennsylvania, that's false. People with felony convictions on the record can vote as long as they are not actually serving time for a felony conviction on election day. So the next one, true or false, you cannot register to vote if you are living in transitional housing.
False.
This is false. Someone who has served their minimum sentence and is released to community correctional facilities may register to vote because they are no longer incarcerated. True or false, you can vote while you are in prison if you are serving time for a misdemeanor only. It's true. You can vote from prison by absentee ballot if you're convicted of a misdemeanor. And to get an absentee ballot, you have to fill out the request and application and return it before the deadline. True or false, you cannot vote if you're on probation, parole, or house arrest. False. Also false. People who are on probation, parole, or house arrest can vote, and also people who are awaiting trial can vote even if they are in prison. The only time people cannot vote is if they are on election day, if they are serving time on a felony conviction, or if they have been found guilty of violating the Pennsylvania election laws within the past 4 years. So in the state of Pennsylvania, you do have the right to vote if you have a record, but if you live in Pennsylvania but you were convicted of a felony in another state, and that state does not restore voting eligibility upon release, but you move to Pennsylvania, do you have the right to vote? Yes. So even if you are convicted of a felony in one of the states that permanently takes away voting eligibility, Pennsylvania does not do that. So if you are a resident of Pennsylvania and you move here, then you regain the right to vote. The ACLU, if you have a criminal conviction on your record and you are having trouble registering to vote, you can contact the Department of State within Pennsylvania, or you can contact the ACLU in Pennsylvania. And if anyone's ever experienced that, I have their phone numbers I can give you. Actually, I have a handout too that I can pass around. If it's the one that says like AFL-CIO. But any other conviction, you are able to vote. So if you are registered to vote and you go to vote for the first time, true or false, you will be required to show an ID. But it's only for the first time that you're voting in that polling precinct. And some of the forms of ID, like I didn't even know this, but when you register to vote, which it's not too late to register to vote, so if there's anyone in this room who's not registered to vote but would like to register, we have some voter registration cards we can get with you at the end of this. When you mail that in, you get a voter registration card, and that voter registration card actually acts as a form of ID for you to go vote. It doesn't have to be a photo ID. Forms of photo and non-photo ID that are accepted are driver's license, passports, military employee IDs, firearm a bank statement, your voter registration card, a utility bill, or a current paycheck. Another true or false question. If you are homeless or living in a shelter, can you register to vote?
Yes.
Without a yes. Okay. That's something else I didn't know either. You can actually, if you're homeless and living on the streets, they have on the voter registration card, you can draw a map of where you live. If you're living in a shelter or a halfway house or any type of other group living, you can use, as long as that institution allows you to receive mail, you can use that to register to vote as well. Are there any questions about? Yes, Pat?
Okay, on the sheet that was just handed out, it said individuals in a halfway house cannot use the halfway house as their official address for voting purposes. Well, what are you supposed to do? This is your home.
Okay, so the wording on this, let me clarify this. The wording on this is a little outdated because what that's referring to is individuals in a halfway house on pre-release status. That doesn't exist anymore in the state of the criminal justice system. That's what I've been told by people that work in the criminal justice system and people within the Department of Probation and Parole. But the information came from the Department of State's website, and it still lists that as one of the things, where it says who is not eligible to register. So it doesn't exist anymore.
So Steph, are you saying that there is no pre-release if you're in a halfway?
There is no pre-release status in halfway houses anymore.
But as far as using a shelter as an address,
You can use a shelter. Are you talking in the section above that, aren't you? I'm sorry. It says, okay.
You said if you receive mail there, that you can do that. So if you don't receive mail, then you
Some
have
places, if you receive mail there, you can use that as your address to vote. If where you're staying allows you to receive mail, or if you're not a permanent resident, allows you to receive, if they will accept mail on your behalf. Any other questions? Pat?
This is not a question. The head of the election bureau, we were over at a meeting last Thursday, and he said that as far as the YWCA is concerned, anybody living here, he was giving the lady that had the program, Amanda Arbor, who works here, this voter registration form so that anybody who wanted to, who lives in this would be registered. And that's what the election, Jerry Feeser, the head of the election bureau for Dauphin County, told us last Thursday.
Yes, ma'am.
Also, I was told because on my driver's license, it still has my old apartment address where I had been before I came here. They said I can still, because it's on my driver's license, I can still go to the church in that.
Is it locally here?
Yes, in
Okay.
Harrisburg.
I mean, if you can do that too. I mean, when I moved down here, I was in a very similar situation. Kind of when I moved down here, I had no place to live. However, my driver's license was 3.5 hours away, and I didn't have a car, so there would be no way for me to return there to vote. Yeah, but if you're registered to vote, yeah,
that I used to go.
because that would be your home ground.
Right, okay.
Any other questions?